So our first speaker is Stephanie Cass-Stevens from Label Insight. She's going to have a little fun with this one, tying Hamilton into growing your company. So let me turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. I have 2 mics because I'm just that cool. All right, so raise your hand if you have seen Hamilton or at least listened to the soundtrack. Okay, for those of you who don't have your hand raised, I don't know what you're doing here. You should clearly be there. We'll get to that later. Regardless, whether you've seen it or not, I think you'll appreciate these lessons. They're easy to grasp, easy to understand. They're based on the lyrics. If you haven't seen it, you might not get my cheesy references. But if you have seen it, hopefully these will be things that you can be reminded of often if you're like me and you just binge listen to the soundtrack all the time. And if not, they'll pop into your head and hopefully they'll be referenceable. So here's how I use lessons from Hamilton to integrate our sales and marketing teams. For starters, I've been using HubSpot for about 6 years. I have 10 certifications and I lead our local Chicago HubSpot user group. I don't know how many of you use HubSpot or have heard of it. It was originally a marketing automation software. It now has a web CMS, a sales tool, and is building out a customer success tool. So it's really taking inbound, what used to be inbound marketing, and shifting it to be the way that your entire business runs. And that's important because part of my lessons relate to how we're transforming the way that we market and sell and do customer success and service because we need to match the way that the world buys and sells now. I volunteer on the marketing team for Digital Megaphone, and I'm on the board for the Digital Innovators Summit. If you haven't heard of those things, they're also great tech events in Chicago. Check it out. Finally, I work for Label Insight. We're solving transparency by helping consumers better understand the products that they use and consume. What we essentially do is we take product data and we digitize it and we push out a whole bunch of other information about the products based on what we know. And that helps brands and retailers communicate more about the products to consumers in the ways that they're looking for. So think about searching online on an e-commerce site or a store for products that fit your dietary preferences. So we're really excited about providing more information to people about products they use and consume because we all want that. All right, on to Hamilton. So like I said, the way we buy and sell things has changed. We know that it's changed over the past decade, it's changed over the past few months, thanks Amazon. And I don't know about you, but as a marketer or a person in digital and tech, I've really felt the pressure of that. And I know that we have to change the way that we do business, like I said, to match the way that people buy and sell things now. And so that wasn't a surprise to me. I don't know about you, marketers have heard this was happening for a while. We've all gone to events like this. We've gone to maybe Inbound or Content Marketing World, all sorts of sales and tech conferences, marketing conferences, and yet 42% of sales professionals say that marketing doesn't understand their customers. So there's some sort of fundamental breakdown here, some source of friction, and I know what you're thinking. If you're anything like me, you're like, ugh, the salespeople, duh, it's obviously the problem. And I felt like that for a long time, I did. And then I realized that salespeople were never invited to the party. I got to go to these awesome conferences that had bands, and we all got to like nerd out together, and there were thousands of marketers all coming together to be like, yeah, things are different, and we have to provide answers and content, and we came back all jazzed and ready to go, and maybe we got some internal buy-in from our CEOs or higher up, but the salespeople weren't really invited to that. Instead, we came back and we just kind of told them what to do. And surprise, salespeople don't love being told what to do. I don't know if you knew that, but I learned that the hard way. So I had to invite my salespeople to the party. So here are the steps. You'll reference the song lyrics, and if you follow them, I promise you will build a legacy just like Hamilton did, except don't die at the end. So step 1, teach them how to say goodbye. You have to teach your sales team how to say goodbye to the old way of doing things. You have to teach them to phase out the legacy tactics and phase in the new tactics that work. And I say teach because I don't know about you, but I have tried asking, I've tried telling, tried begging, fighting, one time crying. Let's try teaching. So to be the best teachers you can for your sales team, you have to do a couple of things. You have to go in with an open mind. I sat down with each of my salespeople individually, and I met with them and I said, tell me about your challenges. Tell me about what you struggle with day to day. Where do you feel like you're wasting time? Where do you feel like you're getting caught up in the minutia of daily tasks and not really focusing on selling? If you get what I'm saying, talk less, smile more. Channel your inner Hamilton. Listen to your salespeople and actually take that into consideration. Listen to what they have to say and think, how can I solve these problems with the tools and the skills that I have? and empower them to be better salespeople by solving their problems, or at least connecting them to the new way of doing things. So I sat down with each individual salesperson, I took notes, I made sure I knew exactly what kind of problems they needed to be tackled. Then, this is the most successful thing I've learned in aligning my sales and marketing teams, and I highly encourage you to do it. I call it an inbound offsite. And I call it that because I don't know how many of you have been to the Inbound conference, but it's a big event hosted by HubSpot out in Boston every year. There's 25,000 people or something. And I go every year, I get really excited, I learn a ton. And that was kind of the big key piece that was missing for my sales team, is they didn't get invited to something like that. So I made it happen here. I actually rented a room over here in TechNexus, got food, can always get people involved if you bring cookies. And we sat down for like 4 hours, and I really told them the story of Inbound, why I'm so passionate about this new way of doing things. I gave them examples of how the way buying and selling has changed, and really got them to understand where I was coming from. And then I made PowerPoint slides that had bullets for each of those individual places where my sales team said they were struggling. And I said, these are the things that we're going to tackle today. And I wanted it to resonate with them because I wanted it to be in their words. I wanted it to be their problems up on the screen. Not my tools, my solution, my way of doing things, but their problems that we were going to solve. Then we spent the next couple of hours diving into each one of those problems that if one salesperson had, they probably all had, whether they said so or not, or whether it was their key problem or not. And I aligned our tools and our solutions to solve those problems. And I promise you, whatever the problem is, you can probably align it to something you as a marketer know, whether it's being more efficient with your content or using tools to speed up the process, and we'll talk about all of that in a second, but you can align those challenges to your solutions. So teach them how to say goodbye. Plan a couple of hours off-site, out of your office, bring food, and align it with their problems to teach them this new way of doing things. Lesson number 2, be in the room where it happens. I love this one because I physically got up and moved my desk over by my sales team. The sales team was behind me. There were 4 or 5 desks over by the windows. I was sitting over by the marketing team, all in my own little bubble, and we were talking and they were talking, and it just wasn't conducive to a cooperative environment. So I moved my desk. And I promise you, you will learn so much by sitting in the middle of your sales team. And you're going to piss them off at first, and that's fine. They'll get over it because they'll eventually find you to be a helpful resource. And it'll be so exciting for them to be using a new tool, feeling efficient, get stuck, and be like, hey, Steph, I have a question. And you're right there next to them, which is really great. So in addition to being right there next to them, moving your desk, I started attending the weekly sales meetings. And I didn't attend them by saying, hey, I want to come to the sales meetings weekly and I want to talk. I want to give a marketing update. I want to share something. I just said, hey, can I come to the weekly sales meetings and just listen? I'm not going to critique. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to tell you how to do anything. I just want to learn about how you're doing what you're doing. And by being in that room, it showed that you cared and you're invested in what the sales team is doing. And when they saw that I was there and just listening, for me, someone who talks all the time, it actually meant a lot to them that I was there to listen. And they were more open to hearing my suggestions and taking my help because I had listened to their problems. And that's a big deal for salespeople. Understandably, it's a big deal for anyone to have someone really listen and be invested in their problems. So you move your desk, you attend the weekly sales meetings, you're in the room where it happens. And when that happens, when a deal closes, it should never be about a salesperson jumping up, ringing the gong, and taking credit for the sale. It should be about a marketer and a salesperson standing up and having a big, nice high five and saying, we did it. And that's easy because you sit near each other now. So, lesson number 3, I was the right-hand man. I think of sales as my #1 customer. I see myself as an agency for our sales team. And anything I can do to support them and help them be successful as my client, as my customer, is going to help me be successful. It's going to help our business be successful. So like I said, I aligned our solutions, our marketing content, everything that we did, our tools, to solve the salespeople's biggest struggles and biggest challenges. In addition to that, I wanted to empower them with content for every stage of the buyer's journey. And as marketers, we're constantly creating content. We're always aligning it to our buyer's journey. We're putting it in the right spots on our website. We're creating places for people to convert, but we're not usually empowering our salespeople to use that content. I made a resources page, and I know I emailed it to my salespeople, and I said, yeah, you should use this, it's there. But I didn't really empower them to use it. I just passively made it available. So in being the right-hand man, I wanted to do everything I could to make me their first go-to resource. So I did things like create pre-written email copy that talked about our research study And I gave it to them, and we use HubSpot templates, but I gave it to them in an easy to reference area where I said, hey, if you're talking to someone about this, this, or this, or if someone asks these 3 common questions, this is a great way to respond. You can customize the email to sound like it's from you, change it up to be like your voice, but here's the key points, here's a link to where they can download the study, and it's all in this document. You can keep it open at all times, you can reference it easily. And when I started giving them easy, accessible ways to use our content, and I said it's right here, and these are the times that you should use it, here's how you should use it, they started using it. They didn't have to go to the website, hunt it down on their own, find a situation, because if you expect someone to start doing something out of the normal way that they're doing their job, but you don't empower them to really do it, they'll just keep doing things the way they've always been doing them. So as the right-hand man, I made sure that I was a resource, a tool, I sat nearby, I provided them with very specific ways to use our content, and I made sure that I was available for questions. So I taught them to say goodbye to the old way of doing things. I was in the room where it happens. I sat near them. I attended sales meetings. I was the right-hand man. I created content and opportunities to use it. And finally, I did not assume I was the smartest in the room. I love this reference in Hamilton because Hamilton's talking to Burr and he's saying, I know I'm abrasive, you're incredible in court, you're succinct, persuasive. He knows that Burr in this instance is better than him. And one of my real lessons where I really figured this out at Label Insight is we were working on something for an update to the nutrition facts panel. And the nutrition facts panel on the package of products hasn't been updated since the early 90s. And it was being updated by the industry. And I thought, I don't know anything about this. I was born in the early 90s. I clearly had no idea what was going on. And there are subject matter experts in my company, not salespeople, but true subject matter experts who know everything there is to know about the nutrition facts panel. It blows my mind how much they know. So I sat down with them and I said, hey, let's work together and create some content for our salespeople to really be able to nail this, really be able to understand where our customers are coming from when they need help with this update to the nutrition facts panel. And we created some content, but what I realized is if we made a video, one, we'd have a video, step in the right direction for 2017 at the time. But two, I didn't have to take notes. I could have the video camera recording my notes for me, and I could have a real conversation with the subject matter expert. And these people are typically not that excited about writing a blog or answering my long email full of questions, but they're willing to sit down over coffee and have a conversation. So I set up a camera and I said, hey, I'm not gonna put this on our website. I'm not gonna use it for anything without your permission unless it turns out great and you like it, which it might. And I'm not going to show it to anyone. I'm just going to use it for notes so that I don't have to take notes and I can talk to you face to face. And it worked really well because we could have this conversation and I could reference the video and I knew exactly what they said. I didn't wonder if I took the notes wrong or have to go back to them with questions because I had the video and I could watch it as many times as I wanted. And inevitably, a lot of them turned out great. We had 30-second, a minute, sometimes even 5-minute clips we could pull out of a video with our subject matter experts and actually use in our content. And they got excited about it because they had helped create it and provided value. And then when our sales team saw that we were working internally with our subject matter experts, we were collaborating with other people in our organization, everyone got excited because everyone was invested in this thing we were building together. We were creating content for our consumers, we were making it available for our salespeople and teaching them how to use it. And it was just a good time for everyone to come work together and start seeing this different way that we could do things. So, what were the results? I like to say we fight up close, seize the moment, and stay in it. Another Hamilton reference for you. We fight up close because marketers have a luxury of sending emails to thousands of people. We can blast them out and hope that, I don't know, 20% of the people open them. Salespeople don't have that luxury. They send one email and wait for someone to open it. And I don't know about you, but I hold my breath when I send an email to thousands of people, just hoping I don't have a typo. But sending it to one, that person's gonna notice. So I've enabled them with some tools like email tracking so they can see when someone opens their email. I've enabled them with these templates to quickly and easily answer questions and reference our content. And it allows us to fight up close in a one-to-one situation, seize the moment, really be able to answer questions with great content and be aligned and stay in it and bring me in, bring our subject matter experts in whenever we need to collaborate to get the deal closed. So we're an aligned team now who fights as one united front. We attend the weekly sales meetings, we talk about marketing and sales together, we sit near each other and we high five when deals closed. We fail together, we learn together, we celebrate together. I got to ring the gong once, it was a great time. And I think my really pivotal moment in this was I had been to a conference, I'd heard a friend of mine speak, and he talked about an email that client of his, he works for a marketing agency, had forwarded him from one of their salespeople. So the marketers had been working with the sales team, and the sales team sent an email, and it said something to the effect of, "Thank you so much, you empowered us, you made us so great, I'm so happy." And I was like, I'm never gonna get an email like that from my sales team. That is so not gonna happen. And sure enough, I'm gonna actually pull out my phone and read it to you. I got an email from our salesperson, Rich, and it said, "If I didn't say it before, thank you for your time in helping me, and more importantly, for the stellar work you're doing on our outreach. The stuff you're doing is fantastic. I was so quick to learn and easy to understand, and is really gonna help me stay on top of daily tasks." I'm not making this up. That was a real email that I got. When was the last time you guys got an email from your sales team thanking you for the work that you did as a marketer? Bet it's been a while. And I promise you, if you follow these lessons, you will get a thank you email from your sales team, and you will be a more united front, and you can fight as one, you can seize the moment, you can stay in it. So don't throw away your shot. Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions, we have a few minutes if you want.
Sure. Questions?
How do you get to be so awesome?
Thank you. I saw Hamilton a lot. That's how. Highly recommend. Any other questions? Yes? When we were doing the video recordings, what did we use? I used my phone. I actually got a little cheap tripod on Amazon for like 20 bucks that you can set on a table. Has a bracket wrapped around my phone, and just set it up. It's much less intimidating than a big DSLR camera too. And then I just brought it onto my computer, and I have Adobe Premiere, so I was like messing around and editing, but you could do it in iMovie or something. I don't know. Yes?
How important are specific use cases to the message or to the role playing, or how you explain this to the sales team?
How important are specific use cases and how I explain this to the sales team? I think it was really important for us. So it was one thing for the salespeople to say, "I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time in Salesforce." I was like, "Yeah, you're always going to say that. Nice try." But when they said, "I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time adding company details to Salesforce," I get a company and I have to go to their website and I have to figure out how many products they have or what their annual revenue is, because that's how we tier companies. I was able to say, well, we have a tool in HubSpot where when you add a company's URL, it will automatically scrape all that information. But I had to know that that was specifically what they were challenged with versus just, well, Salesforce is hard. So I think really pulling the specific use cases out of the salespeople is going to help you better solve their problems and actually pinpoint what they're struggling with versus attempting to and not really nailing it. Other questions? Sure.
I think everyone should ask this of every speaker. This is my philosophy. What is your marketing stack? Be very specific.
Oh, we're gonna be here a while, guys. So I use
You can just list them.
Yeah, so I use HubSpot for almost everything. We use the marketing, sales, customer success, and website portions of HubSpot. I also use Enthusum, which is a direct mail integration campaign. I use EventGeek to manage our events and event ROI. I use Sigster to manage our email signatures. We put marketing content in our email signatures and we manage them through G Suite. We use Salesforce, HubSpot, Enthusum. Oh, we use BrightFunnel for all of our full funnel attribution reporting. And I think that's probably about it. It's the big ones. Any other questions? All right, thank you.